So I was lucky enough to be invited to Star Wars Last Jedi, the premiere in London. Not the one in LA, but there you go. It was certainly a lot warmer in LA because it was colder than Hoth there, I can tell you that now. But I had a great time anyway, and we got to see a lot of great stuff and a lot of great people. It was just one of those weird fun days where a lot of people came along to celebrate Star Wars The Last Jedi. So, what was the film like? Well, let me assure you right now that there are no spoilers in what I'm going to say. No spoilers at all. First things this, you have to give it to Rian Johnson. Comparing it to the original films, and a lot of people are going to do that, is going to be unfair. Because Rian Johnson is literally making a sequel to something that J.J. Abrams created. Now I know a lot of people were a bit upset with the way that Rey was handled and all this Mary Sue nonsense. But if you think about it, Poe Dameron, he was also a Mary Sue as well, because he was perfect in every way. There's nothing he could do wrong. So it's you know, criticisms goes both ways in that general area. But I think my major problem was that with the first one was that we were really getting into Finn's character, and then all of a sudden it all stopped. So it came as a nice thought that Rian Johnson has taken each of the characters and given them a backstory and given them something to challenge them and bring something out about them. That's probably the most, or the least, spoiler I can say. The story itself, some people are going to criticise it and some people are going to enjoy it. It's a lot more humorous than what people were expecting, and also it took the ideas and the suspicions of the internet a completely different direction, and that is good, because the one thing that really irritates me at the moment is the trailers that are pretty much telling you everything. You know what's going to happen, and all the conversations have been going on. We all kind of guessed that Han Solo was going to die in the first film, so the fact that Rian kept everything close to his chest was an absolute masterstroke, because it allowed me to enjoy the film a lot more. Now I know that some people may think, well, there are some certain things, but like Looper, there are a lot of stuff in there that doesn't make sense, and it's quite obvious to me that Rian Johnson does tend to throw facts out the window to keep the story going. And sometimes there are things that you will be scratching your head at. But if you just let it be a story, then there's nothing wrong with the film. Now, how else can I put this through? Well, the fact is that I loved the new characters that were brought in. I felt that the way that they were handled were very, very good. And it certainly does make a extra character. I think what it needed was that they needed to be a bigger ensemble, and Rian Johnson has obviously seen that, and he's made that going forward. Also, I really enjoyed the fact that there are different versions of the BB droid as well that were very close to the original stuff. There's a lot of imagery in there that are very classic-y Star Wars. And the best bit is that we're moving away from the scientific part of the Force. We're moving away from midichlorians and back into the whole being one with the Force and being one with nature, and also questioning the Jedi, and questioning what were the Jedi doing back in the day. And there's a debate. There's a debate about the Jedi in the film, and that makes a really good plot point, because you are there thinking, well, what side of the debate am I on? Do I agree with that argument? Well, I agree with that argument, and we'll see where we go from that point forward. And so instead of you kind of spending half your time expecting something to happen, you're spending your time wondering what's going to happen next. Yeah, it changes the way that a Star Wars film comes back to you. And what I mean by that is that when I was a kid and I was watching Star Wars, I didn't know what was coming, and everything that I saw was an adventure. And I think this film has brought the adventure back. It has taken a step away from the Lucas area of Star Wars, the more experimental, and it probably, you could say that it played on safe ground, and so there were images that you would find familiar. I mean, everyone's seen the gorilla-looking AT-ATs that the New Order have, but there was also other key questions in there. There was a lot of, this is an issue, how do we solve the issue? This is something that we can look at through our time, even here, and debate over these issues that are happening and why are these things happening. And social commentary is very subtle, but I did notice it, and there are a few things as well in there that you will notice, and some things that a lot of people may think, well, that wasn't brilliant, but I'll overlook it. And that's really where I think people should end up doing, is getting themselves into a situation where they just sit back and just enjoy the movie. Just eat your popcorn, shut your brain down, and just watch the movie for what the movie is, and you'll enjoy it. But of course, we are going to get those people who are going to end up saying, oh, it was great, and then spend the next 5 or 6 years taking it apart, pretty much like The Force Awakens was. Now, I was not in that camp. I really had an issue with Force Awakens from the start, and I am not looking forward to J.J. Abrams taking over for the third instalment. I think Rian Johnson has pretty much set the bar of what a Star Wars film, a modern Star Wars film, should be, and that is a very important thing to acknowledge. And I think Lucasfilm have done that because he's going to get his own Star Wars films, the 3 films that he's going to write himself, and I'm actually really excited about that because he's not constrained by what somebody else has written, and he had to write. Don't forget, he had to write around all of the issues and correct some of the issues from J.J. Abrams. So it's done an overall job. But overall, great film. Go see it. I think you'll have a great time. If you don't, then perhaps Star Wars isn't for you anymore, because that was a perfect Star Wars film. I'll see you later. Bye.